One question we get all the time is the uh, purchasing a new car. So let's take an example of a physician who is self-employed. They primarily go from their home to the hospital. So if we take this Excel sheet here with just some reminders in it. Let's start here at the daily business mileage and expense log, and we'll go clockwise around here, which may seem backward, but this is kind of an example of how much detail the IRS is going to be looking for in case you're audited. So this is a lot of work to keep track of your miles. You also have the ability to keep this much detail, but sample during the year. Also is a very good idea if you have someone change your oil, keep those receipts because they usually keep your total mileage in there. And that is beneficial to give you at least the totals for the year, even if you don't have the breakdown. And then if you have this for a few times out of the year, helps to substantiate that. So if we come back around here, let's take the kind of the more complicated question, but the easier, meaning the issues are complicated, but they're very straightforward. So when you're looking at car expenses, the big thing is you really want it to be over 50% business. If it's under 50% business, you're a lot more limited as to what you're looking for, because what most people are wanting is to write the car off. But good to remember, if you depreciate it, you can't take the standard mileage in future years. So that means if you write everything off this year, in future years, you're just going to deduct the actual expenses. You won't get the standard mileage rate. So if you think you're going to have the car for a long period of time, it's definitely something to consider. What most people are looking at is, and so a car is it's a car, a truck, a van under 6,000 pounds. So it may be easier to think of it as a conveyance instead of, the common term of car, truck, van. So we're talking about anything under 6,000 pounds. So there are actually a fair number of conveyances that are over 6,000 pounds. It's surprising how many are actually over that. Even some fairly small size SUVs are 6,500 pounds. So another thing to remember is if it's permanently painted, the car, the truck, the van, that's not a personal vehicle. So that doesn't qualify either. It not qualifying for a car, which means you're able to have Section 179, you're able to have bonus depreciation, which is truly what everyone's asking about when they're saying, hey, I want to write off my car. So it's also beneficial if you have a truck, if it's permanently painted. Another helpful thing is to have one of those extra gas tanks in the back. Those things always help the IRS determine that this really isn't a personal vehicle. So if we move beyond that, if let's say you bought let's say Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it's 6,500 pounds, so you can take the Section 179 deduction, which is $27,000. What that does is it's the maximum car depreciation limit of 19,200 currently, and then the bonus gets you up to 27,000. Now, currently you have bonus depreciation, so this bonus depreciation will let you write the entire thing off. That's 2022. Starting 2023, it will start to be phased out in the future and then ultimately go away, and we'll go back to the old rules. Who knows? It may change in the future. So these are kind of complicated, but they're very straightforward in understanding. We get, if we move up here, so your principal place of business. So you have to look at, where are you doing most of your work? So in our example of physician, are you doing chart work? Are you doing administrative work? Is there any follow-up care? Is it more convenient for you to be doing this work at your home as opposed to at the hospital? Now, post-COVID, anything should be able to count: phone, Zoom, in person. 10 years ago, they're mostly looking at, like, did you actually have a patient come into the home? Currently, Zoom meeting would definitely qualify. So if you're doing telemedicine, that absolutely would qualify as well. So the difficult part is now part of the house. So in our example, part of the house must be used exclusively on a regular basis. And you must meet one of these two things. Either it's used by patients, clients, or customers, phone, Zoom, or in person again, or it's a separate structure in your house. So if you have, say, a garage apartment and you've converted that to your home office, that would be great. Otherwise, you need an actual office completely inside the home that is dedicated to just using for any like chart work, administrative work, et cetera, et cetera. Most of that's pretty easy. The hard part is, like, are you actually doing work there? Most beneficial would be if you're at least doing some type of Zoom work, or you're doing follow-up or something like that. So this is really the key. This is where it all breaks down. It fleshes out through here. It works out pretty well, but this is a hard thing. Now, easy, if you have a separate structure in your house, easy. If used by patients, clients, or customers, that's pretty easy. Now, if you're audited, they're only going to do one site visit. So you could have your home easily set it up and show, what you needed to. That's not bad, but the documentation that you're actually doing work there is key. And then clearly, if you have very good logs, that makes it look even better for you. But hopefully that answers kind of the questions. In the next couple of years, it gets kind of moot because we're going to go back to these lower limits. But certainly if you're deciding to buy a $200,000 car this year, might be 2022 the time to do it.